Morning for AM 1340 WGRV. I'm Reid Seals, and I'm here with Greene County Mayor David Crum for our monthly interview. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Reid. Good morning, Greene County.
First question's about the airport. Why did the county decide to give up their portion of the airport?
We've looked at a lot of these joint ventures. We did Kinser Park. The city felt it was in the best interest for them to not be in there, and I must admit we're still going through dotting the I's and crossing the T's on that just to get the paperwork done. But Anthony out there has been doing a good job. I've been out and met with Anthony at 4-H or at the Kinser Park, and some of the improvements and things he's wanting to do. So that's been a good continuation process. But I say that to kind of deviate and say, as we look at these joint ventures, some seem, I believe, to work better with one side or the other having full control. And when you meet in that monthly committee like the airport committee does, it's hard without that manager or that person to really be there, that day-to-day operations that they can call, say, Todd Smith at the city or me at the county to say, here's what I've got going on and I need to do, and action would be taken much more streamlined. And so as we've looked at that in the last few months since that first offer was made, and we've looked at it, I think it operates best, and the commission agreed this time, if the city takes over the operation of that, and they can see it as a manager, and they can have full control in that person they hire and they put in that position. And it was kind of like, I think, negative at the end. We'd both budgeted last year to give our yearly allocation and to put money in reserve for a manager. And didn't get to that point of hiring somebody, so toward the end of the year, John Waddle and Paul Berkey came, let's allocate like $30,000 to do some maintenance, and the city didn't match that. So it's kind of that, okay, are we on the same page or are we a little bit off? And it's not an animosity, it's just I think we're a little bit out of sync in how we're doing it. I don't think we're really disagreeing on what we see needs out there, but I think it could be more efficient. And you've been there, and there's comment was made to last airport authority meeting, and we may get into that more, but the public doesn't get to those meetings, so maybe we can cover a little bit of that there's like a waiting list for 40 T-hangers out there. So somebody made the comment that, well, you can either raise your rates or build more T-hangers. Well, my opinion on that is you build more T-hangers, because that increases the amount of traffic out the airport, that increases your fuel flow. And during that meeting, they said there was like 2 corporate jets would like to move from Tri-Cities down. Well, you need somebody to get out and go up and solicit that business, but you could go up, find those 2 corporates and say, if you'll put the money up front for the match for us to get these built, then we're collecting rent on 38, and you're increasing that fuel flow of 40 planes coming in that are stationed out there. So I think we need that day-to-day operations manager that we agree upon, but if it's one or the other, then that one can make the selection process as to who fits in their management style and their process the best. So that's why I think it was time for us to get out, and hopefully they'll agree. I mean, there's some debt out there that I think may concern them a little bit, but when you look at what's got to be paid for those, it may hit them a little bit, but I don't know that once you get that operations flowing, if it's going to be that big of an impact on their debt service, because the theory was when we signed that the airport authority would make the payment. But we kind of co-signed. So hopefully they can do that. There may be some short-term problems there that I see coming on those next couple payments. But that's not the entire amount. We can talk about a $3 million debt, but if you're making 2 payments, that's not $3 million.
What were some of the issues with forming an environmental industrial study committee?
Well, I think Roger kind of hit on that. Our attorney did. One, we get our authority, the county does, to operate by state government. The state has functioning agencies in place to evaluate and do environmental studies. Do we want to start hiring environmental engineers and all those people to do that, to bring us unbiased, impartial information? And we've got that safety and health committee that can go out and bring as much information as some other committees. So it's kind of like, how many committees do we want to form out there? So I think we've got a committee. They've met, which created a great controversy in and of itself, which we can deal with. But they met. They've been talking to U.S. Nitrogen and stuff. And actually, I'm meeting a person down there today with Tommy Gregg on an issue. And so we'll see how that comes out. But
well, speaking of U.S. Nitrogen, have you yourself heard anything negative at U.S. Nitrogen outside of the speakers at the commission meeting, beyond the nitric acid leak in April, of course?
No, I've not got calls from the public down there. And, they're monitoring. And I was actually at another plant yesterday that does some training and does some things. And they were talking about, how much time TDEC's there all the time was their statement. Now, I don't know how much time they are there, but they're down there and it's monitored by them. So, my comment, I'll just say it, I don't think U.S. Nitrogen's done anything to help from the positive side to get their message out. All we hear is the negative side, which is too often the case whenever we turn on the TV and see that news. But I have conversations with U.S. Nitrogen, and that's actually what I'm going down there to meet with somebody today to talk about the discharge. Actually, I'm going down to meet with Park Overall, and Tommy Gregg and I are going to have a meeting to discuss discharge and concerns she has down there.
Okay. Now that the courthouse repairs are finished, have any more projects begun?
We've not put anything as far as specific to do. We've not closed out the final bill. They finished up, I guess, last week with that. It appears it's all done. As we said last month, we'd like to have a little more rain to see, but I think the rain we've had looks like it's carried pretty good. Not aware of any leaks. We took some of that money to bring up. We may get a little bit still left from what the tornado funds. If we do that, the decision was made to put those in capital projects to help build that up, because it's depleted down to about $50,000, so that'll give some stuff. And we've got so many needs. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, if I had $1 million of things I could do, we need additional repairs there. We need a radio system that we've talked about. We need to upgrade our telephone system. And one of the things, actually, was talking to somebody last week about, if we went to bulk fuel, the savings it could have, and we're doing some evaluation on that. If we bought a bulk fuel tank for the diesel and gasoline to put it where our vehicles could fuel up there, could be some substantial savings. But which ones do you pick and choose and prioritize on what's the most important?
And we had a story about this not too long ago, but talk a little bit about the new HR director.
She's on staff, has started. Her first priority, and it was listed in her job description, was to work on our ADA. There's some things that, as far as door handles and all those, I think we're in compliance with all the stuff that we need to. But she's working on, is there grievance policies and things in place to where we can respond if there's an issue with someone that may, lack access to services and things that we would hope that wouldn't be, but we need to make sure things are in place. And so that will actually be on next month's commission packet, or should be. That's the direction she was, work on this. And because we have to have some things in place, or the state's threatened to hold some highway fundings.
And just to clarify, Americans with Disabilities Act,
yes.
ADA, yeah. Just
Thank
for
you.
everybody who doesn't know, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the proposal to allow EMS to keep a portion of their revenue that you and Todd Smith have been discussing?
Yeah. Todd and I had some conversations in the past, and apparently this was past practice, that at the end of the year, each budget side would sit down and figure out, we do, a lot of these joint ventures we have are 70-30 splits. And so if it comes up shortfall, the city would send money, overage, we'd send it there. And so as we were kind of looking at that, it's like, really the only one, it's animal control and some of those that's going to generate revenue is EMS. Well, the last couple of years was the only time we'd really put money in there that I can remember for vehicles. They would have to come back every year and ask for funding. and this year we cut $400,000 out of that. So he and I talked and felt like it was a good thing. Okay, let's not penalize them and make them think they're the cash generating service for our general fund. Let's put that back into a fund account, so if they need those capital expenditures of equipment and things, they can come and make a request, or if they've got something else that may be of a need, they can ask that board. The board can authorize, and if you put a cap on it, okay, at a certain point, it's like, what more would you need? Then it would go into the general fund. So I think it will help them fund themselves for those capital projects that in the past they would come back and ask. And so I think that helps them. And it's just a better way of doing that than sitting down at the end of the year and determining who owes who what.
And what's going on in Greene County over this next month?
Well, I guess you attend the partnership breakfast, or you have somebody typically there to kind of cover it, and every month they go over a whole list, and it's kind of like, if you can't find something to do this time of year in Greene County, you're just not looking, because on your website, the Greenville Sun, typically has that. There's just all sorts of fall festivals, Lord's Acre sales, and I was looking, whether you call it Halloween or in some groups call it the Fall Festival, have different things. There's that's coming up at the end of the month. The next big one, and we will be closed November 10th, is Veterans Day. Our offices are closed, but we always have a lot of things going on to where we recognize the veterans. The Veterans Park will actually do theirs, though. They do theirs on the traditional date of November 11th, and we're mid-October. We've got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up before you know it, so you better be good, Reed.
I do want Santa Claus to visit me.
Yeah, but that's just a lot of events. Tusculum College has a new president. Met he and his wife a couple times. So I think they're excited to be here in the community, and I think the Means Center has dedication.
Today, actually.
Okay. That's what I was trying to think of the dates in my head.
Not too long after this interview, actually.
Okay. So that's a big event in our community. So, okay, but that's all I can think of. We did a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So just kind of want to mention that one, because we have to all know someone that's been impacted by that. So, Greene County, have a good holiday and take care.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This is Reid Seals for AM 1340 WGRV, and tune in next month for another interview.